अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल Aussielife Vlogs। तो गाइज़ आज बहुत अच्छे अपडेट्स आपके साथ डिस्कस करने वाले हैं। सिंगापुर के ट्रैवल बबल के हवाले से, NSW के स्टूडेंट पायलट प्रोग्राम के रिलेटेड और विक्टोरिया की कोविड सिचुएशन और लॉकडाउन पर बात करेंगे। तो वीडियो को पूरा देखना और चैनल को प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब कर दें। तो सबसे पहले बात करते हैं ट्रैवल बबल की। तो ऑस्ट्रेलियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर मॉरिसन और सिंगापुर के प्राइम मिनिस्टर ली ने ट्रैवल बबल के हवाले से बात की है कि कैसे इंटरनेशनल ट्रैवलर्स को रिटर्न करवाया जा सके। तो इसके रिलेटेड 1 मिनट की वीडियो आपके साथ शेयर करते हैं।
Australians could soon be enjoying quarantine-free travel to Singapore. Rob Scott is in Canberra. Morning to you, Rob. Prime Minister Scott Morrison and his Singaporean counterpart have agreed to work towards a travel bubble.
Yeah, they have indeed, Eddie, and this has really been on the card since last October when Singapore first raised the idea. Scott Morrison discussing it further with Prime Minister Lee during a brief stopover yesterday on his way to the G7 in the UK. While the leaders are keen to see a bubble start as soon as possible, Mr Lee wants vaccination rates to be much higher in both countries before he gives it the green light.
There is still some time before we reach that milestone, but there is nothing impeding us, as we've discussed today, from getting on with the job of putting systems in place.
When the travel bubble does eventually start, Singaporean students who want to get back to their studies in Australia are likely to be the first people allowed to travel.
तो इसके बाद बात करते हैं NSW के प्लान की। तो स्टूडेंट्स नेक्स्ट मंथ से ट्रैवल कर सकेंगे। तो ये NSW गवर्नमेंट की ऑफिशियल न्यूज़ है, इसकी भी वीडियो आपके साथ शेयर करते हैं।
Well, New South Wales is hoping to bring international students back into the country for the first time since the start of the pandemic. Under a pilot plan submitted to the federal government, the state would accept 250 students per fortnight from the start of the second semester in August. The students would quarantine in purpose-built accommodation and taxpayers would not foot the bill. Joining me now is the New South Wales Minister for Jobs, Investment and Tourism, Stuart Ayres. Morning to you. Firstly, why is it so important to get international students back into this country?
Well, international students add so much value to our local economy. Over 114,000 students were in New South Wales prior to COVID striking the state, and they're worth about $14 billion to our economy. They sustain about 95,000 jobs, and it's really important to recognise that when international students are here in New South Wales, over half of the money that they earn locally, they spend back in our local businesses, not just on education. So they're really critical to our economy.
Yeah, they're Australia's fourth largest export, aren't they? Let's talk about how it'll work. Will they have to be vaccinated?
Yeah, we're asking international students to be vaccinated to go through those programs. We'll be working with the universities to do so, and we're setting up purpose-built student accommodation. There's already a lot of that type of accommodation across Sydney which is being underutilised, and we're going to operate an operational plan approved by New South Wales Police and New South Wales Health, exactly the same way we've been running our hotel quarantine so successfully, which has had over 195,000 people come through it over the last 18 months.
And you talked about them putting a lot of money back in the economy. Our hospitality industry is crying out for workers. A lot of these students often work in that industry. Will their visas allow them to work?
So the visas will be a requirement of the Commonwealth Government. We do hope that those international students that are here studying, we're obviously starting small, only 250 a week. They do normally have the capacity to work in our economy, and that's what we're looking forward to seeing from the Commonwealth Government as well.
तो लास्ट पर बात करते हैं विक्टोरिया की सिचुएशन की, कि जहां पर कोई भी लास्ट 24 आवर्स में कोई भी न्यू लोकल ट्रांसमिटेड कोविड का कोई पेशेंट या कोई केस रिकॉर्ड नहीं हुआ। तो वहां पर लॉकडाउन जो रिस्ट्रिक्शंस थी उनमें पहले ही जो है वो कमी की गई थी। तो ये एक अच्छा साइन और एक अच्छा होप है कि विक्टोरिया को जो है वो लॉकडाउन उसको ख़त्म किया जा सके और उसको एंड किया जा सके।